place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the page, but I didn't like their way. Had to fight and misbehave, had to find a way to change, had to leave to find my way. Caught up in a daydream, I beat my mind up there almost daily. It's how I pass time, no opinions safely. It's how I understand what I want in this place, see. Cause everybody wanna tell you bad things, what could go wrong, what fame brings. But success is a finicky thing, and if you ain't sure, no, it'll never be. I don't wanna let myself down, myself down. I don't wanna let myself down, myself down. Run away, I don't have to plan it. I can go, change my fate, you won't understand it. All alone, that's okay, people I can't stand them. They don't want me to change, keep me where I'm standing. And I don't wanna be where I am, and I want something more, take a chance. It could be possibly my last dance, my last dance. I don't wanna let myself down, myself down. I don't wanna let myself down, myself down.
Well, my beauties, I promised we would come back with another show today to discuss this. Let's get the different thumbnail up there. Hold on a second. We coming. Okay, there we go. Was enough done? Was enough done in the Nancy Guthrie? Nancy Guthrie. I noticed that I said that the other day too, or maybe it was this morning when I was going back to, kept calling her Nancy Grace. Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old grandmother that was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman, and she has never been seen ever again. This is about as serious as a heart attack as it can possibly be. This happened on February 1st, the early morning hours of February 1st, between 1 and 2 a.m., 1 and 2:30 a.m. We see movement on her camera about the time 1:47 is when a camera goes offline. Then we have motion detected at 2:12. It is my belief the motion at the front door happens at 2:12. By 2:28, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker disconnects from her Apple Watch, and it is never seen again. The actual signal. We have since learned that they had a signal sniffer in the air trying to locate her pacemaker. Every such resource that we know of so far has failed. It has failed to produce Nancy, it has failed to produce results, and it has failed to put that masked gunman behind bars. We still have no clue what happened, who we're looking for, the vehicle that transported her. It feels so hopeless and helpless in a case that had so many resources we've never heard of. We had the full swift activity of the federal government, every little facet of the federal government, all the vegetable soup, alphabet soup of our federal government was on this case at the direction of the President of the United States of America. and we still haven't brought Nancy home, and we still haven't brought her masked gunmen to justice. So my question to the world, could more have been done? Could more have been done to find Nancy? Could more have been done to bring the assailant home? Could more have been done with respect to law enforcement and their communication to the public? Could more have been done with more resources? Did we not bring out all the tools that we could have brought out? Could more have been done is where we are in the Nancy Guthrie case. And I really don't know the answer to that. I really don't know the answer to that. But what we do know is that there was a lot of issues up front. Let's just go over a few issues, and then we're going to get to Sheriff Nano's statements. And then before we get to Nano's statements, we're going to take a little back step and get to a personal item of mine, and then I'll say good afternoon to everybody in the chat. When Chris Nanos first came to the world, he had some press conferences. He told us some information. The information kind of went like this. Nancy was supposed to have gone to church. She didn't arrive at church. Somebody from church reached out to her family. Her family immediately went to her house. After a little while of them searching and calling, and about an hour later, they called law enforcement. That was about the statement that we originally had in this case. Obviously, those statements do not work very well with the true crime genre. Whenever there's peril, whenever there's appearance of peril, whenever we feel like somebody may have been injured or something is out of the ordinary, we expect the family to call immediately. We expect them to continue to search, but we expect them to call law enforcement immediately. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So when we heard from the sheriff out of his own mouth that this family took an hour after they arrived at this house, it looked awfully sus. Just on that alone. Then we find out the stepson was the last one, or the in-law, the son-in-law, is the last one to see her. Then the speculation stations started really ramping up, and it seemed like the more the sheriff spoke, the more he kept putting out and bringing it back, putting out and bring it back, putting out and bringing it back. And it started getting so bad that after the last press conference he had, he was plugged. They would no longer allow him to have any public press conferences again. And then he started going to just one-off interviews. And then by the end of the day, you would have one news organization saying one thing while another news organization was saying another thing. It was becoming a hot mess express. Then he decided not to take any media at all except NBC. He's not going to speak to anybody at NBC. And so this has just been going on and going on and going on and going on. And it really shows this man's unprofessionalism, not being able to handle pressures of the job. It really showed a lot. But more importantly, as we dug in, we started seeing more and more predators out there and really seeing the full failure of the local government there, including law enforcement in the area, because there were so many people creeping around these families at night, and nobody was none the wiser until we started looking through the Ring footage. And then all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, we started seeing all these creepers during the day and at night. That's just a full law enforcement failure. So could more have been done to prevent this? I mean, the question is standing on literally every aspect of this case with Nancy Guthrie, from before to now to after. All right, guys, so before we kind of get started here, give me just a second. We have to... Give me just a second. Anyway, I can... Sorry, I didn't want you guys hearing that if it wanted to play. Please tell me it's going to work. It may not work. I might have to do this a different way. I'm hoping I don't have to do it. Dad burn it. It's going to make me do it. There it goes. Hold on. It might do it now. Probably because OBS is just draining my system. It's not allowing me to do it. I really need to send this to my computer. Give me just a second. Let me turn all of this stuff off. Usually I find if I turn everything off and turn it back on again, then it'll work. Sometimes it'll push it. AirDrop, contacts only, average. I wish I'd stop that. Okay, let's try it again. I don't know what the hell's the purpose of all this technology. It never fucking works. Give me a second while I get all this stuff up. So frustrating. I have AirDrop, and so I'm trying to AirDrop, and it's not working because they put this thing in place for security, not at my request. Again, another company decides for me what's best for me, and so now, if I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, hold on. If you notice this or not, but now if you have Apple phone, which I'm done with Apple. As soon as I can get off this stuff, I'm going to get off. But now it won't let you AirDrop. You have to constantly change it from contacts to everyone and even though I'm here, this is my computer, these things have been connected for years, it still won't, it still keeps reverting it back to contacts. Well, my computer's not in my contacts. So it prevents me from being able to, whatever, not that it's a big deal. But, all right, guys, this is going to be the sad part of our show. And then I'll say hi to you all. If you guys were here for this morning's show, we talked about Mr. and Mrs. E. Mr. and Mrs. E crime cast. I met them covering the Sebastian Rogers case. I can't tell you how wonderful of a family that these people are. They are just amazing people. I don't know how else to say it. They're just amazing people. And they're struggling right now. They're struggling. Their family's struggling. Their children have been plagued. Well, two of their children that I'm aware of. One of their children was a nonverbal autistic. They worked with therapists, got him speaking, and their young daughter had cancer, and then obviously their older son also had cancer. So his cancer was in the brain, and they've been doing operations. As many of you know, they just put out a statement on their channel that they didn't get the prognosis that they had hoped for, and it's not very good. So they wanted everybody to pray for them on Monday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time or 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is my time zone. And then I got a message from them. And they changed their mind about a few things. And it was a little shocking. So let me go ahead and pull this up first before I say anything, which I'm not having an easy time doing. And as you guys know about the E family, they have been very a very private family, but a public family in a sense, because they have this show, right? Good gracious. This damn computer is really pissing me off here lately. I'm sorry, but it is. Clearly, I'm going to have to put this up here and then move it back because it just can't handle it. Good gracious. Okay. Woosah. Woosah. Good gracious. So this is already hard enough because we know what's going on. But anyways, this is the message that I got, is that they have decided they want to let everybody in to the actual prayer vigil. There is a prayer vigil for their son at a church. And they just wanted us to take the time to pray with them at the time this service was going on at their church. But they have decided to do something that is all inspiring. And they have decided to unmask themselves for their son. And so there is an evening of prayer for Cole Harris, and they would like as many people to attend online and pray over them. And I thought this was very brave and amazing that they're doing this for their son. So I'm not sure how we want to do this. This is all up to you. We can all watch this individually at 7 p.m. or we can watch it together as a group. I'll leave that up to you. If you guys would like to watch that together as a group, as you are coming in and answering, can I put a poll up? Just let me know. Just send me an email, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, if you guys would like to do this tomorrow night at 7, and I'll set it up, and we'll do this as a group and come together for this cause. We want to be positive, bring hope. We want to pray. We want to be happy. We want to celebrate. This does not want to be an evening of pain or sorrow or anything like that. We're coming together as a family, as a true crime community family, to put our hands on one of our own, to uplift them during a very difficult time in their family. And so I just wanted to also show you guys something very special that moved me and made me cry.
A Gallatin High School senior has rehearsed thousands of lines for dozens of roles throughout his young acting career. But ahead of his lead role in Station Camp High School's performance of The Wedding Singer, he was also handed the toughest role of all. He reminds us and News Channel 5's Austin Pollock that the show must go on.
Wait, does that table go on stage right?
Love is a battlefield.
Behind this routine is a reality
Awesome.
far from scripted.
It's nice to meet you. I'm Robbie Hart.
But what's his real name?
My name is Cole Harris.
Cole has a story a script won't tell.
I wrote a song 6 years ago while playing in a wedding band. When I was about 10 years old, I was on my way to an indoor soccer match, and I just looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I hate soccer.
Rather, he felt the stage was his natural calling.
Linda.
What is Cole Harris's character?
Amazing, good-looking guy. Now when we play a wedding gig, we're like a finely tuned machine.
In his senior year, Cole leads Station Camp High School's performance of The Wedding Singer.
I just like connecting with people.
And every now and then you just make sure it's not twisted.
He likes to take on every single role, like not even just the acting parts. He loves to direct. He wants to do publicity. He loves to write.
The bachelor party is the last night for the groom to get wild and crazy. I've been acting for 7 years.
7 years, dozens of roles. But this one
She's very important to me.
is personal.
Yeah. My sister got leukemia when I was 12.
4 years ago, Cole learned his sister Meredith needed a bone marrow transplant. He couldn't predict life's script, but he was ready for this role.
I was the closest match, and when they asked me to do it, I didn't think for a second, because why would I? I don't think there's any strength or courage that comes with that. It's just like, you have to. It's family, you know?
Hello. How many?
How are you?
Good. 2, that'll be 24.
He's been working on this for a while.
We've been pretty excited about the show.
All right, you guys are good to go.
I have to make sure it's on record.
Doing the show gave people
You want popcorn?
Yes, please.
something else to think about other than whatever's going on in their lives.
I just want to be there and,
You want to support him?
yeah.
You should always try to do what you love, even when you feel like you can't.
Cole knows the lines, the music, the moves, but this performance packs more than a plot. It deserves a front row seat.
Seeing Cole happy and really excited and having his whole family in the front row, like cheering him on, and it's just amazing.
What's even more amazing, there's another plot twist.
When we started working on the show, I was like 3 weeks out of having my brain tumor removed.
He noted that his right side of his face felt a little bit funny.
I thought like the worst is behind us, and then this happens, and it's just.
This is a malignant tumor. This is a cancerous type of tumor.
All this after surgery to remove the brain tumor and finishing more than 30 rounds of radiation.
I gave it my all, and I left everything I had on the stage.
And who was in the crowd with the seat where eyes are set on center stage?
I couldn't imagine life without her, you know?
There are some parts of life you can prepare for, others you can't. But in Cole's case, a round of applause and final bow for showing us character that no script could ever capture.
You're putting your whole heart into something, and once you see the product that you get out of putting your heart into something, it's so much more fulfilling and wonderful.
I'm Austin Pollock, News Channel 5.
And Austin is here with us now on set. Obviously, he's a remarkable and inspirational young man. I know you spent a lot of time with Cole. We were talking about this during your report, but I mean, what were you kind of hoping to capture in this story? I mean, was there kind of an overarching meaning?
Yeah, I mean, you know, his story is just so simply, it's inspiring. I know we all have a lot of things that we go through, right? And many of us, you know, are older than Cole, but something tells me after seeing this story that even when we're hit with something that life throws our way, you know, you can't let it define you. And I think that's what Cole's message is, and that's, you know, what he wants us to gain from this. I mean, he's 17, going on 18. He is so well-spoken, so well-mannered, professional, and again, inspirational. I know we use that word a lot, but that's truly what he is. And, you know, just the conversations we had where he's, you know, it's tough to take that.
Right.
And he's like, you have to still do what you love. You cannot let this stop you from doing what you love. It's really, really amazing. And I know he inspired me.
Yeah, I mean.
So as you guys see, it is a very inspiring story. And this is an amazing family that has been through quite a bit. So again, tomorrow, 7 Eastern our time, 6 p.m. Central time, we're going to be, you know, coming together as a true crime family to pray over this family. So I hope you guys all come by and stop by for a few moments tomorrow evening. I think we're going to go ahead and run this while it's live so we can at least see it, because the family is going to be there in person, obviously, and the people that are around will probably go there personally. So you know, when things don't go the way we expect them, we have to lean on our faith. And so I just wanted to share this with you, since we're allowed to share this with you. So just prayers for everybody that's struggling, prayers for the E family, prayers for Cole's strength, and this is tough for all of us to hear and endure, but we come together lovingly, and we're going to help uplift this family. All right, guys, so there you guys have it. I did want to share that with you. Thank you all for being here this evening. We've been covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and if you guys did not hear my intro coming into this, our main topic was, was enough done? This is going to be subjective in nature because, it's based on our personal preference. Was enough done? Was enough done in Nancy Guthrie's case? So good afternoon, good evening, all you beautiful coffee beans. It's nice to see you. Melanie, Bombastic, Deanna, Downey, it's nice to see you. Melanie, Aletha, hello, hello, hello. Grave Crime with Grace, it's nice to see you as well. Daisy, it's nice to see you. I hope you are doing well. Baby Love, West Virginia Holler Girl. Faye, good evening. The Real Me Too. Peggy, good evening. Marilyn, it's nice to see you. Tammy, Remus, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have here? Sonia, good evening, my love. I hope you're doing well. I'm trying not to, I move quick. Driftwood, it's nice to see you. So I try not to lose too many people. I try to check. Jamie, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you are doing well. Missy Motormouth, Becky, it's nice to see you. Good evening. Alicia, good evening. It's nice to see you. Karen, hey, love. I hope you're well. Christy, it's nice to see you. Oh, thank you, Sheila, sending peace. Love, peace, and joy to everyone. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. 29 months. Bless you. Bless you. Putting up with my crap all this time. I'm a handful. Erna, it's nice to see you. Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Albatross, as I say that right, it's nice to see you. Pebbles, good evening, love. I hope you're doing well. Who else do we have? Deals, it's nice to see you. B. Betty, if you are on the replay crew, much love to you, honey. I hope you are doing well. Guys, please do me a favor as you are coming in. I'm going to have to get up and go get me something for my arms. My arms are getting a little cold. I did this last night too, I think. I don't know why I do this. If you guys would do me a favor as you're coming in or going out, would you go and hit that thumbs up button for me? Hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to the Bullhorn Betty Show, please consider subscribing. We're on here. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We're growing all areas. And we're going to be rolling out the website. We're going to be rolling out the website. And we might actually get on Patreon, because I'm hearing that Patreon is that platform where we can discuss sensitive topics without being censored as much. And if that's the case, then I'm going to be checking that out. I did not know that that's how everybody was doing things to keep some sensitive topics off this. So I thought if that's the case, then that would be amazing if we have a place where we can talk legitimately. It's been my pleasure to be on here. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate that. Big hugs and loves to you too. We appreciate that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here and allowing us and helping us get what we need to get done for these victims of crime. And in many cases, the other stuff that goes along with it, the activism and stuff like that to push stuff along. The noisier we are, the more they want to shut us up. And the only way we shut up is when they start doing reasonable laws, making reasonable laws that protect children and victims, So thank you so much. Aw. And if you guys would like, it's starting to warm up around the country. So as we start warming up, just like as we start freezing our tail ends off, I like to find out what it is around the country. So when you hit that thumbs up button, come on back in. Let us know where you're from and what the temperature is. I'm in Florida. I'm on the west coast of Florida. My temperature today is 80 degrees and it's evening. It is 5:34 Sunday evening and it is 80 degrees. So that means it was molten lava earlier today. It was molten lava. So that's where we're at. All right, guys. So one of the biggest questions that I have for all of you guys, and I guess we'll do it by ones or twos. I think that's the easiest way to do this. No, we'll do three. We'll give 3 suggestions here. Okay, we'll put a smart-ass suggestion in here. Okay, we'll put a smart-ass answer in here too. So, do you think we've got 102 people in our evening show here so far? Hey, Denise, Stephanie, or Stacy, it's nice to see you guys. Hello, I hope you guys are doing well. Hey. Do you think more should have been done? 1, yes. 2, no. They've done everything. And 3, who are we to judge? Right? Who are we to judge? We're not there. That's my sarcastic one, okay? So 1, 2, or 3, right? Should they have done more? Yes. They're doing everything they can do, and we shouldn't judge. Let's put our hate channel option in there. Let's put our number 3 in there. So we're doing 1, 2. Let me get my. Oh, these are your pens. I gotta move these aside, otherwise I'm gonna end up using your pens, and your pens need to go to you, honey. And you know who I'm talking about. Grave Crime with Grace. I got your pens on my desk, so I do not forget to take them to the stoop. I got so much stuff to do tomorrow. We got to get the oil change. We got to go to the thing, return this here. I got to return this. And then while I'm returning that, I'm going to be sending you, I'm not sending you 1, I'm sending you 2. And if you guys are wanting to know why am I sending Grave Crime with Grace pens and not you guys with pens, it's because I stole her chicken salad, okay? I was a thief the last time I was in Tennessee, and I was forcing money down her throat, and she refused to give me her money account so I could send her money. So she agreed to take pens in lieu of payments. If you guys, this is the way I can repent my sins of stealing his chicken salad. So JH, it's nice to see you. Kathy, the other Sharon, Candy, it's nice to see you. All right, let's look at the tally so far. So if you guys are just coming in, we're asking, could the sheriff have done more? Could more have been done? Maybe not just, let's not blame the sheriff. Could more have been done? Just a blanket, could more have been done for Nancy Guthrie? Yes, more could be done. No, they put everything at it. You know, they've used all the resources. And 3, who are we to judge? Who are we to judge? Pulling an old hate channel. How dare you? How dare you, right? So far it looks like everybody's with a 1. So, I mean, the ones that have answered, let me just put the caveat. The folks that have chosen to answer this question appear to at least be 1. So the people that did answer do believe that could have been more done. Now the question is, what could have been done? Now I can list a few things, that we learned. We learned that when this first happened, when it became dark, they did not turn on lights. Like, this is an investigation. You turn on the blessed lights, okay? I don't care if you've got to get, floodlights coming in. We used to have those lights that you plug in, that like beam lights. I don't know what to say. When you're at construction sites and you need to light the construction site up because you're working through the night. Those types of lights, those big, bright lights, they wouldn't put those up. I've seen those at crime scenes many a times when people need to still work at night. Then we also had their pilot and their most advanced aircraft grounded in the most important time because of past, bull crap in the department. and downsizing or punishing the pilot because they had a disagreement at some point. I mean, not release the... Yeah, there we go. Deanna's on top of it. They released the crime scene entirely too early. Yeah, like the halogen light ones. Yeah. You know, they didn't really want anybody out there searching. I'm getting, to be honest with you, I think this whole new thing about nobody being out there, they're so worried about preservation. You can handle a lot of that just by educating the people that want to come out and search, the public that wants to come out and search. And it's such a shame that law enforcement hasn't figured out how to walk and chew bubblegum. So when we have a situation where somebody goes missing and the public wants to help, the public's pushed out. They're basically said, we don't need your help. We don't want you monkeying around here, right? And I think that just me doing this for a long time, I think that's horrible. I think that's horrible, horrible policy. When somebody is missing and their life depends on it, you throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I'm sorry. When it comes to preservation of life, whether you like it or not, you throw literally everything out at the wall. Nothing is off the table as far as help. I'm sorry. If the person has already been presumed dead, I can understand you saying, you know what, they're already gone. No, we don't want you contaminating crime scenes and contaminating this and contaminating that. We're gonna, take this very slowly and cross our I's and dot our I's and cross our T's. There are two different approaches in these investigations, and one is you have a live person. You're fighting against the clock to try to save that person's life. And that was the situation we appear to be in Sebastian Rogers' case, as well as Nancy Guthrie's case. And these are two most recent and most notable cases where law enforcement condemned anybody wanting to help. And I think that was absolutely the doormat. People are talking about the doormat not being collected. That doormat should have absolutely been collected for examination. It could have had some type of trace from the shoe. I mean, you may not have gotten a shoe print, but you might have had a tread pattern, on the lines of that decoration. You don't know what you could have gotten off it. For all you know, you could have gotten a dog hair that linked back to that person's private residence, or a cat hair. And so I'm not really happy with the thoroughness of this investigation that we were able to see. And trust me, we were only able to see a small little window, and that was this right here, right? The front door. This was the only place that we, as a public, were really, I shouldn't say that. We're able to observe the whole front of this house, okay? So I think everybody keeps asking, like, for example, they want to know, how did the assailant get in? Hear me? There we go. We don't know the specific mechanism of how this particular assailant got in. Nanos is just, I'm not to be honest, I think we all lost our palate for Chris Nanos. I mean, because I didn't want to be mean. I mean, he seemed like such a nice guy when he came out, but we started seeing him do shenanigans, I mean, come on. We can't have a sheriff do shenanigans and not say stuff. I mean, he was doing underhanded stuff. He was complicating the case. We could see it ourselves. It wasn't like, we were hearing Brian Enton talk about his source, because from my understanding, because his affiliation with News Nation has a reporter that has a good relationship with FBI partners. It might be direct to Kash Patel, because you got to remember Kash Patel, was beyond, it was beyond reproach way back before he became Kash Patel. I mean, he's always been Kash Patel, but, in his position being, microscope, he was never a microscoped guy for a really, really, really long time, up until he started becoming a decent player in the Trump campaign. But, is that the person that has the connection? It very well may be, but somebody was speaking to News Nation, and it, in my opinion. It was directly from the FBI, and that person was feeding information back to Brian Enton, and those conversations weren't very good. It showed that at least leadership, maybe not the grunts, and I call them grunts, and it's not to be disrespectful. It's the worker bees. It's the people that are out there, doing the shoe leather investigation. That's not hierarchy. That's not, top brass like Chris Nanos is. Okay. But you could definitely see the butting of heads at the top level. Chris Nanos, the sheriff, and probably the head of FBI were button heads behind the scene, and it was becoming noticeable for some people behind the scenes, and those things were vocalized by a non-identified source from the FBI, which started causing problems that made Nanos have to come public and say, oh, these things aren't happening, right? And so it caused strain between Nanos and Brian Enton, and now he won't even interview with Brian Enton or give him a time of day because he's mad or trying to control the speech of Brian Enton. And I'm sorry, but that's one of the reasons why I love Brian Enton, is because he's a true journalist that understands the importance of freedom of press, and he pushes, and he doesn't mind asking the tough questions, even if he's penalized for it. Like I tell you, these are the reasons why local media will not give you the truth, is because this is the kind of shit. I tell you guys this all the time. Well, now you're seeing it in real life, how Chris Nanos is handling this. He's blocking and 86ing the local media that doesn't agree with him, or national media that doesn't agree with him. And this is what happens. That's why I say, you know what? I'm done. I don't play those games. I know for a fact Chris Nanos and any politician across this country needs social media. And I will tell you, we are the best of the best when it comes to social media. And we go in there and we start freaking whipping the crap out of these politicians when they try to use social media to get ahead. Because we will put our foot on the neck of them like they put their foot on the neck of us. And that's how we get this stuff under control, because at the end of the day, I personally don't need Chris Nanos. If I interview with Chris Nanos, it's not going to be any hair off my butt one way or another. Okay? I don't need Chris Nanos to survive. Okay? But Chris Nanos needs social media to get reelected. Okay? So this is where we, social media, truly do have control. And we need to utilize that control, because we need to start reminding politicians, we're in your court right now. We're in your court today, but tomorrow you're going to be playing in our sandbox. So, that's why we need to have respect both ways, right? And I think people need to start doing that, because we have more power over our politicians than our politicians have over us. But for some reason, we forget that. And when we start getting, 86 by politicians, we forget to tell them that. You need us more than we need you. And we're going to make sure you feel that. So hopefully in the future, other politicians see what happens when you go down this road, and then they choose not to go down this road. But it has to be cause and effects and consequences. And this is where I think that many people should be vocalizing their disdain for how Chris Nanos is handling himself, because he's not being he's being a coward, in my opinion. He's not giving press conferences to everybody. When he was hiding behind just doing private interviews with these press people, he was giving information to one, contradicted information to another, and two well-known journalists will make a report based on their interview and completely contradict each other. That is really, really bad. Okay, so yes, there's more that could have been done, and this was all happening up front. But more importantly, he put targets on at least two innocent people's backs, in my opinion, just because of his failure to understand the case, and his failure when he didn't understand the case not to answer the questions he didn't know 100% to be true. And that was first Tommaso and Annie. He did not give us the information up front that needed to be up front. If he would have told us that these people got to the house, realized something was wrong, and immediately called law enforcement, we may, in part, have had a different opinion of Annie and Tommaso. But because of his statement saying that they immediately went over to this house and decided to lollygag for an hour before calling law enforcement, and this was after we saw Brian Enton go up there and all that blood at the front door, it put a target on Annie and Tommaso's back. And that's all there is to it. He did that. And he did that because he didn't understand what he was saying. He did not know the details of the case. If he would have known the details, he would have said, yes, somebody called them earlier, but they couldn't get over there. But as soon as they got there, they immediately called 911. That was the truth. And that is a big difference because you're talking about two people that last saw this woman and then lollygagged for an entire hour before they called. I mean, that made this whole thing look so much more suspicious of Tommaso and Annie. It almost like he went out of his way to put a target on their back, okay? And then to have these big, bold, executed warrants. I think that he didn't need to do all that. I feel like he was overcompensating by use of force in trying to get these search warrants executed. I don't think it was necessary to bring the SWAT out to execute those types of warrants. I think a phone call. We've been watching this stuff for a really long time. We've seen it, homicide interrogations before, and typically you have no problem just calling the people up and saying, hey, we need you to come into the office. And if they needed to, just go and knock on the door. Go knock on the door. I've never seen somebody just immediately bring a SWAT to somebody's house to execute a warrant. I mean, we got some rough, tough cream puffs up here in Manatee County, and I don't recall, unless we know that they have threatened to cause harm or they have such a violent history that, but these both of these, they don't seem like they have any type of violent history, like ultra violent history that would require this huge, showing of force just to go get an executed search warrant. It seemed, but anyways, I'm not going to say he put a target on Luke's back because I'm not convinced that Luke is innocent still. I'm looking at Luke because of his hand. And I'm very honest about why I think Luke is fitting this profile. Did he do it? I don't know if he did. I'm not blaming him for it. I'm not saying he did it or anything like that. I'm just saying that somebody called into my show and said that they believe that the right hand of this assailant appears to be injured in that video. And this is before we ever knew who Luke was. This is before we ever knew who Carlos was. And I couldn't see the hurt hand. I kind of dismissed. I'm like, maybe. Okay. Yeah. In all fairness, I didn't know whether the hand was hurt, but somebody had called into my show. Well, last night I've realized that was Turkey Man. And then once Turkey Man told me, oh, it was me that called into you, I remembered the conversation like it was yesterday, and it was him. And he says that he believed that, and I remember hearing through somebody else saying, I can't remember, I read an article on Reddit, but it was from a private person. It wasn't from a legitimate source or anything. And it might have even been on Facebook where I read it. But it was a comment from somebody stating that they believed that the right hand of this assailant was injured. And then that was, in addition and coupled with Turkey Man, I just, okay, well, maybe this assailant's hand was injured. But again, I didn't look at Luke anymore because it sounded like all of this was a whole bunch of fluff, and we don't even know what brought Nanos to knock on Carlos or this Luke's door. And then somebody sent me this photo of a right hand being swollen on Luke's body. And I never even considered Luke. I will be honest with you. We talked about it for 15 minutes maybe, and we've never talked about it again. And I always tell you that I will dismiss something until something else comes about that might start holding water. We always place some stuff. We got a lot of little things that are sitting out here waiting for something to kind of connect it back in. And to me, this whole hurt hand and swollen right hand is bringing it right back to that front door. And I watched this man walk into that interview. The lady released it. We're going to look at that. I got to find that. Did I send that to myself? I think I sent that to myself. Let me see if I sent that to myself. Please tell me I sent that to myself. Please tell me I sent that to myself. I did not send that to myself. Son of a gun. Hate when that happens. But it happens. So we'll hunt for it. Shouldn't take me too long because I watched it. It's got to be in my history. Somewhere. One of my histories. And it's him walking into the interview. And I found that interesting. So we're going to have to look at that in conjunction with all of this here in just a few moments. But let's get back to Chris Nanos. Let's listen to him for a little bit. Let's go through some things here. Let's find out what he's said on the record, what he hasn't said on the record. Because I'm sorry, Chris Nanos is one of those things that bothers me a little bit. Police could have made a big event of Luke to scare him into snitching. That is true. That is true. I could see them doing that. Yes, I could see them doing that. That would be a tactic. That would actually be a strategic tactic. I could see law enforcement doing that without a doubt. So he's possessing, going on to use the SWAT scene for show. Desert Law. Yeah. Ooh. Could they be recording them for all of this? That's a good theory, because does Desert Law have something to do with this? We never dismissed that either. Then can we watch Brian E's segment from last night? Yeah, Mike, we can go over that. Let me write that down. Brian E. Brian E from last night. Yeah, I haven't seen it. At least I don't think I've seen it. And if I haven't seen it, then we'll have some talking points, and we can definitely make it probative. Sure, certainly.
Guys, good morning to all of you. The sheriff tells us as they enter this next phase of the investigation, he now has a dedicated team from his homicide division working with the FBI on the search for Nancy. The sheriff says that he is very much still operating under the belief that Nancy is alive and that investigators have thousands of leads they continue to comb through. An emotional moment outside Nancy Guthrie's home Monday. Savannah, Annie, and her husband Tommaso visiting that growing memorial, seen in this video laying yellow flowers and a card with this handwritten message. Though we are surrounded by so much darkness and uncertainty, our love burns bright. We love you, Mommy. We miss you so much. Savannah later sharing this image on Instagram, saying, "We feel the love and prayers from our neighbors, from the Tucson community, and from around the country." Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos tells us he's also not giving up hope. So, Sheriff, it's been 30 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing. Are investigators any closer to finding the suspect or suspects?
I think the investigators are definitely closer. We got a lot of intel, a lot of leads, but now it's time to just go to work.
We also asked about that new Ring camera video obtained by Fox News Digital showing a car 2.5 miles away. Yeah. Is this really something we should be looking at?
Look, what I would tell you is this. We're aware of it, and we're looking into it, just like any other piece of evidence.
Have you been able to identify the car that drove past at 2:36 a.m.?
No.
No. But you are looking to identify it?
We're looking at that vehicle as well as hundreds of thousands of other vehicles that were out driving
hundreds of thousands.
That time of day.
Nano says they still haven't identified the other clothes the suspect was wearing and told us this about the backpack.
We've now learned that maybe it wasn't purchased out of Walmart. That backpack as new is exclusive to Walmart. But who's to say I didn't buy it and put it on eBay? That's what we're looking at.
With so many questions, he told us there is a lot they're just not sharing.
There's so much that everybody wants to know, right? But I would be very neglectful, irresponsible as a police law enforcement leader to share that with everybody. We have information on this case that we think is going to hopefully lead us to solving this case. But it takes time.
And you'll get there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, well, that's good to hear.
All right, so that's the most recent information that he was willing to share with us. So I'm going to play this.
We continue to track the latest on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and today marks day 33 in the search for the 84-year-old. A new development today as we learn investigators were back at the house as they search for more clues into what happened to Nancy Guthrie. All this, as Sheriff Chris Nanos says, investigators are going through thousands of hours of video footage from the area. He says they are reviewing traffic camera video near Guthrie's home and ring camera video of a suspect. You've seen it many times from her home the night she was taken. 33 days after Nancy Guthrie has disappeared, many questions still remain. And today, News 4 Tucson's Monica Garcia sat down one-on-one once again with Sheriff Chris Nanos, pressing him on several questions sent to us by our viewers surrounding this investigation. Monica.
Yeah, Sean, all of us know at News 4 Tucson we've been getting hundreds of messages on our social media pages, emails saying, what about this, or ask the sheriff about this. And so today we took the most common questions and we did ask the sheriff. And one of them I want to point out is the most recent one, and it's a 911 call that was made the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared. In the call, the dispatcher talks about a woman screaming out the window,
this one
hollering for
get an
help.
answer
And
on.
this was within miles of Nancy Guthrie's house. Let's first take a listen to that 911 call.
It's going to be at Oracle and River. The caller is advising they saw a female out of a vehicle window screaming. Then it went northbound on Oracle. The vehicle was a dark gray or blue Chevy Malibu, no plate.
All right, so back out here, a lot of people have been asking about this specific call, and for good reason, right? So as you just heard, it's been circulating all over line, described a woman screaming, hanging outside of a moving car. We spoke to the sheriff about that. We're going to get to that in just a second. And during our conversation, we also asked about other evidence in the case, including the more than a dozen gloves found during the search. The sheriff says the glove found closest to the scene, about 2.5 miles away, was tested and it was eliminated. Other gloves found farther away, he said some 6 to 7 miles away, those are still part of the investigation. They're just not priority. They're still getting tested. So let's get back to that 911 call we asked him today about to see if they had investigated it. Take a listen.
So there was a 911 call of a woman overheard screaming, hanging outside of a car the night Nancy was taken. What's the update with that?
We're aware of it. We found those individuals, interviewed them. It was a domestic violence situation that had nothing to do with this case at all.
All right, guys. So what do you think about that being the answer for this? I mean, now we have a good answer. Yes, that did happen. Yes, he's acknowledging it happened. And now he's saying that it happened, but it was a domestic violence related thing. So they found the vehicle. They found the people. They identified the situation that happened. And they excluded it as being anything involved related to Nancy Guthrie. That's a lie. Well, hello, Keith. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. So Keith is saying, nope, not so fast. I got your notes too. Not so fast. Not so fast. So we'll circle back. We'll circle back. But that's what Nanos is saying.
All right, folks, so you just heard the sheriff addressing that 911 call that's been circulating online. He told me they, in fact, investigated it. They investigated it the night it actually happened because they had heard about it. So just one of those things on the list of questions you guys have been submitting to us. In the meantime, he says their big focus is on forensic evidence, and so that's where they stand tonight on the case of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Live from PCSD, Monica Garcia. Sean.
I can tell you that when we go to the forensic sides of things just slow majorly down. It just slows down to a snail's pace. Anything that has to do with, because there's so much of it. There's so, not just this case, all the other cases, because they're in Arizona, okay, and they have their labs. So it sounds like they've outsourced some of their stuff to private labs to get it back quicker, instead of going through their state lab. And their state lab, when they start using the state lab, they're in order. And just like even the private labs, they have a number, and they're in the order in which they are received. Okay? Sometimes you can get a back better and quicker in private labs without any contamination and other mistakes that are made because they're private labs. I don't get it, but it may have something to do with that. But one thing I learned is like in the Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner case. Now, granted, this was back in 2021 and 2022, so you're dealing with fairly newer technology, but not 2026 technology. And we were calling the state attorney back 10 months after we had visited with the state attorney, and she still told us they did not have the forensics back. And that was 9-10 months later. I think it took almost 13 months for them in 2022. And granted, this was in Idaho. This was in Utah. Moab, Utah. This was in Utah. In Moab. Yes, Moab. And so there was... that took a while to get, and of course they had Salt Lake as their FBI that could process. So they did have an FBI, a pretty good FBI lab in Utah that they could use. And it was still taking many, many months to get that stuff back. So I just wanted to put that into perspective. That's from Utah. And their crime in Utah is a lot less than crime around this country. But they do have Salt Lake City that jams up their book. So that's where we were at with that. But months, I think 13 months. So when we start hearing this forensic stuff, it slows down the case significantly. I just thought I'd throw that out there. This is going to be more long-winded. This is a 15-minute interview with Chris Nanos. This interview happened 2 weeks ago. But I just want you to hear all of his statements that he's made. Now, these are not all of them. These are the ones that I grabbed that I thought would be interesting for tonight's show.
Week 3, if I flash back to February the 1st when you first get that call, what advice would you go?
It sounds like this is pretty low, so unless it's on the other side, but you might need to turn your volume up. I won't like put any sound effects in, so I won't blow your ears out, but it sounds pretty low in my ears.
Go back and give yourself now? Is there anything you do differently?
That's been asked
Never mind,
100
it's loud
times.
enough.
First of
It's
all,
just-
I think to answer that, people need to understand. I have a team of investigators.
Never mind, it's good.
And a forensic team that process crime scenes all the time, have done so for decades. They have solved hundreds, if not thousands, of cases. And so to sit back and judge them or question them, that's just crazy.
It's a lot of...
They're my experts. I have to rely on them. I'll put their solvency rate against anybody in the nation in terms of those difficult crimes, homicides.
Public information officer.
They do a tremendous job. I have a great team that does good work. So I've
Public
heard all the
information
pundits out
officer.
there about, we closed the crime scene too early, this, that, and the other. They have no clue. Where did they make that statement from?
Yes. This is where the ignorance of the sheriff might come back to bite him. We've studied, not even just this county, we've studied hundreds of cases all over this country. We do understand this stuff. We have absolute knowledge of this stuff. We've seen hundreds of trials at this point. So this ignorance from law enforcement that we have no clue, that's insanity. We know how long it takes to process a crime scene. We know how long they should have a crime scene down for. The reason why we don't like the crime scenes being turned over is because if they forget something and they've turned it over, they've broken that chain of custody. And so how would we know about chain of custody? How would we know about chain of custody? Because this is evidentiary stuff. As soon as they open up or hand those keys back over to there and then say, oh, we got to go back in there and shut it down, a defense attorney can now say, how do we know somebody didn't go inside the house and plant it? Okay? So this illusion from law enforcement that the general public is dumb about this kind of stuff is at this point ignorant for any law enforcement body to have that mentality. Just my personal opinion. It's ignorant to have that kind of mentality because we do understand this. That's why we get so upset. That's why we're upset about Sebastian Rogers' case because they John Benayed that case. And if you guys know what John Benet means, we know John Benet Ramsey's case went on 30 years ago almost, right? And one of the reasons why it has not been solved is because of the contamination of the crime scene. They allowed people to be inside that house when a homicide was committed, and they thought it was just a missing person. We learned so much. Police procedures across this country changed after the John Benet Ramsey case. And we've got Sumner County out there in the Sebastian Rogers case allowing just any Tom, Dick, or Harry just to walk up off the road right into the house. They didn't shut that house down, even though they had a missing autistic child and they had no way of determining how he disappeared. No matter what, the directive of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children would have kicked everybody out of that house, would have crime scene taped that entire house, along with his father Seth's house. They never did any of that, not to that house and not to Seth's house. And had they done that, they would have been able to preserve the evidence. It's all about the preservation. So for us not to understand that, or for law enforcement not to have knowledge that we understand these processes, is ignorant on their parts. We can look at somebody and something and see whether with our own eyes, whether it was done thoroughly or not. Why? Because we've watched many of them be done. We've watched many thorough investigations be done. We've watched many cases that should have been done thoroughly not be done thoroughly. Were they able to make up for what they lost at the beginning? I'm hoping they did. But let's face it, they couldn't reprocess that front of the house. Too many people walked up on the front of the house, like Brian Enton, because they foolishly allowed that house to be turned over, and they released the crime scene. And then when they had to contain that crime scene again, it was too blessed late. We don't know who was walking around the house. We don't know who went into the house. We heard the back door was not even secured. No law enforcement there, no tape. God knows who walked in that house at night. We have no clue. We have no clue. So even when they do happen to find this phantom, this masked gunman, what is his public defender going to be able to do with all of this? Well, it's going to complicate things, that's for sure. We can absolutely expect it to complicate things at the very minimum. But this ignorance that we, the public, have no idea how these things go on. We have a whole entire true crime genre out here that sits and breaks all this stuff down for us. And when we don't know, we go look at trials and we listen with our own ears from law enforcement and trials, and we figure it out. You know why? Because that brings people in. It gets people to listen. We get to watch trials. We get to discuss them. He's clueless about the true crime genre. He's absolutely clueless that we actually do know. I think that was very ignorant of a statement for him to say.
So I've heard all the pundits out there about, we closed the crime scene too early, this, that, and the other. They have no clue.
Yes, we do.
Where did they make that statement from? I have a team that goes there. They spent 20 some hours there. They came out of there. They immediately contact the FBI. That was another story. Oh, the sheriff is blocking the FBI. Where that stuff comes from, I have no idea. We have worked with the FBI at their office for decades. They have worked here for decades.
Aw, thank you.
The FBI. When decisions are made about an investigation like this, and we're partners with not just the FBI.
Oh, thank
my
you,
Pima
Gwen.
Regional Critical Incident Team, which includes every agency in this valley. That wasn't the sheriff put that together. That was 11 law enforcement leaders in this county, along with the sheriff, deciding that we need to be transparent when we handle such things as officer-involved shootings,
all this,
major investigations. And so we rely on each other and we partner. Staffing is a big issue.
Yep.
Every agency is short-staffed.
Well, when you start, why are you short-staffed? Why do we only have officers and investigators with only 4 years of experience? That is a leadership and a morale issue that he is unwilling to acknowledge. That is a Chris Nanos problem. You know how I know? My sheriff doesn't have these problems. My sheriff has people that's been on the force 20 years. Lots of them. Lots of them. Why? Because he gives them a great environment. He keeps great morale amongst he's a good leader of our sheriff's department. That's what it takes not to have staffing shortages, is great leadership. And so this is where I talk all the time about the failure. This is a complete and utter failure in Pima County. The entire government is failing their citizens. And they keep making excuses as to why they're failing them. Us out in the real world, I don't get these excuses. I don't get these excuses. Many of us don't get these excuses in our community. Why? Because our sheriff doesn't make excuses for failed leadership. This is failed leadership, folks. And it put this lady's life in danger. And you know what we found out throughout this entire case? There are a lot of elderly and family members out there that are in peril because people are creeping around their homes. God knows what happens when somebody stumbles across one of these creeps at night. They will be freaking Nancy Guthrie. They'll be disappeared. This is a complete and utter failure. If I saw this in my community, I would come unglued. I would come unglued. But you know what? My county refuses to let me sleep in the dark. I've got a freaking light pole out in front of my house. Our whole entire street is lit up. We light our county up. Why? Do we have wild animals here? Yes, we do. Even out east, we light it up. Why? Because our citizens are important, and we know light prevents people from creeping. I don't know how I don't know. Like if I was, I would be insane right now if I saw all this going on in my community. You know, I mean, it's one thing when you don't know what's happening, but it's another thing when something tragic happens in your community. That should shake you and wake you up. You know, the HOA says no to. I don't care what the HOA says. You know what? The HOA says a lot of crap here in the state of Florida, too. You know what we do? We go make laws so they can't tell us what to do. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is where people like, well, they said no. Who the hell are they? That needs to be your next thing. Like, who's an HOA? You go around them. You don't let some stupid HOA put you in danger. Like, they were trying to tell us we couldn't have flags waving on the American flags waving on the outside of our homes in the state of Florida. You know what we did? We made sure that no HOA could ever prevent somebody from putting a flag in their yard. That's what we did in the state of Florida. We don't put up with this crap. That's what I'm telling you guys. You don't have to put up with this. You don't have to put up with HOAs. I want everybody to start thinking about, you know, quit bowing down to somebody else wanting you to do something for them. How do you feel about it? I mean, like, how do you feel about it? Do you want to be living with no lights? I mean, you know, that's dangerous in this society, in this world that we live in. It's dangerous not to have lights and see what's going on in the night. It's dangerous. We see how dangerous it is. And more importantly, the wild animals. Like, I'm sorry. If I'm living out in the desert, that's even more of a reason why I want lights. Like, I don't want some freaking coyote or werewolf sneaking up and taking a bite out of Betty. I'm just saying, you know. If I got to deal with a werewolf, I want to see it coming. I want to have my silver steak. Do they do the silver steaks? Is it a wooden steak? I don't know what kind of steak it is. I just want to make sure I have my steak ready, my garlic or whatever I need to have. You know? Do they at least pass around garlic necklaces for them to wear around if they sneak out of the house? And think about it. What about the kids? I mean, how many kids have snuck out of their house in the middle of the night? How many kids just never show back up again out there? Like that I don't know. I'm freaked out. I get freaked. I'm freaked out. I think it's foolish. I just think it's foolish not to have lights. There are so many different type of lights out there, new technology that help keep, lights just illuminating just a very, very little bit, so you're not out there in the dark. The rattlesnakes. Yeah, there's just, the HOA are all Karens. I refuse to live in an HOA. I refuse to. They drive up costs. I hate HOAs. I'll be honest with you. I think they're absolutely worthless. Absolutely worthless. So, to each their own. Do they really don't have lights so people... No. Sandy, they have... It's pitch black out there. They refuse to put lights up. I think that they just find excuses to take people's taxpayer money. I mean, because they're paying... We're all paying about the same amount of taxpayer. Some people pay a hell of a lot more than we do here in Florida, but I never understand where all their freaking money goes. Like, the majority of our money here in Florida goes on our roads. And then, like, you're in Pennsylvania, and they're paying god-awful amounts in taxes, and they have private roads. They're not even spending the money on their roads. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing with all their taxpayer money? Like, ours goes into our roads. They've got private roads, so it's not going into the roads. Where the hell's the money going? It's going into somebody's pocket. I don't understand. People just need to get involved. You guys are being screwed all over the place. All I can do is tell you, you guys are being screwed every which way from Sunday. Get involved. But, some of you guys may get involved. Some of you guys may not get involved. I'm just telling you, I don't like the government. I don't like the government. I love law enforcement. But I think New York, I think they pay for, like, you guys get everything, though. I mean, you guys got the subway, but there's a lot of mismanagement there, There's a lot of mismanagement in New York, and then, what's going on in that state right now. I feel for a lot of people. We used to have a functioning government. Our government sucks. It just sucks, and they thrive at us all being just like wanting to butt heads with you. I just get so sick of it. It's just disgusting. They're pigs. They're all pigs. Okay, let's get back on. Let me get off my soapbox. Let's get back to reality.
So we double up and help each other. Right now, 400 officers out in this community work in this very case. From the federal government to the state government to all our valley agents.
I don't mean to cut you off here. I am on a time crunch, so I want to get some in here. One of the other rumors that's been going wild, and at least one report of it, is this has become a burglary gone wrong investigation. I know you have not mentioned that. You haven't talked about forced entry here. Do you have a theory on how this perp got in the house? Did Nancy open the door for a man in a mask with a gun?
First of all, the sheriff's theories don't really matter. Okay. It's those who are investigating this case, their theories, their thoughts, and they share that and work that together as a team. And all of those possibilities are something we all look at and consider. But it'd be very irresponsible of me to give out certain key pieces of this case so that the public can know.
The thing that has been put out to the public, I know the FBI and you both released those images from the doorbell camera. Have all the images that you have been released, or are there more that...
Oh my goodness, no, because we have so many images from ring cameras and videos, traffic videos, intersection videos. You can't. Well, anything that we look at and say, this is critical, this can help us. See, that's where the public really can help us. We don't need all the pundits. We need you to tell us something you might have seen, heard, or know.
And I get that, but you're never going to get there in the way we do this stuff without going through all of this information. People, they need to be, sometimes, a lot of people are taught to mind their own business. So we kind of get into our own little bubble and just go through our everyday stuff. Like even tomorrow, many of you guys are going to get up the same time, get the same clothes, not the same clothes on, but you guys, get your clothes on, the same routine over and over throughout the week. And, so maybe it isn't something that's just off the wall crazy. Maybe it's just something that was just a little off that day. Maybe a car appeared to be broke down in a weird spot, or you know what I'm saying? Like, just sometimes we've got to talk about it. Sometimes we've got to, you know, jog the memory of somebody that's going to potentially come across here and read this. Christy Nome can do EquiSearch. Now she has writing savings. Yeah, Christy Nome seems to have a little bit of a spending problem with the American taxpayer money. That's what the problem is. It seemed like she did pretty good for South Dakota, but damn, $225 billion. Woo-hoo, I'm a cheap bitch. That did not make my happy day. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. In the middle of the woods in a cabin. So you think she might be in the middle of the woods in the cabin? Well, I don't think there's woods. There's desert. And could there be something? Like, I don't know anything about deserts, folks. I'm freaking. I know nothing about deserts. I don't know, you know, about like if they have bunkers. I don't know. Yeah, I know nothing about deserts. I know there's caves. Is there any caves near her house? Is there any, you know, I'm looking, like, I'm trying to process this. If this was burglary gone wrong and they accidentally killed an old lady, they're going to need to get rid of her body and any of the evidence associated with it. And if they took her with a car, you know, that's why I started looking. Is there a burnt car somewhere? Is there a car reported missing somewhere that could have been pushed into a river with her body? Is there rivers or lakes or streams or anything in a freaking desert? You know, like, I got questions. I know nothing. Okay, you guys might be laughing at me, but I know nothing about deserts. I can tell you that I think it's insane to live amongst all the wildlife in the desert without any lights. I'm going to tell you that, you know, normal people don't put themselves in that kind of danger. I'm just saying. We have countries, so I mean, I have to think it's similar to that. We got foxes and panthers and bears and coyotes and snakes and water moccasins and rattlers and I mean, we got all that right in our country. Like, ain't nobody walking out in the country in the freaking dark, folks. Okay, we're not dumb. We're lighting it up. We love our wildlife, but we ain't trying to get eaten and destroyed by it. I'm just saying, do what you wish.
That can help us find Nancy. That's the focus, not the politics, not the wild guesses. We just need to know I firmly believe someone out there knows something. Someone out there saw something, heard something. We need that person to call us.
Has there been any evidence so far that Nancy is still alive, or is it just hope of investigators and the family?
There's been no evidence that she's not.
Yeah.
And it is hope. But sometimes that's all you have. Yeah. And you have to go with that. I mean, that's true. And it's not just the family. It's not just my investigators. It's me. Yeah. We have to have some hope.
You know, you cleared the family yesterday publicly. I think that may have happened earlier in the investigation. Are you able to, the people we saw detained last week in Rio Rico Tuesday and then on Friday, have either or both of those incidents, have those folks been cleared yet?
Well, I think in my mind, we've cleared them to a point where we feel like, okay, we've talked with them. We've done some checking on what they were reporting as maybe an alibi or whatever. We validated some information. There's still some evidence that we need to process because we did do search warrants at those homes. But yes, if detectives weren't satisfied, they wouldn't have been released.
You know, some people, again, the pundits have been critical of those searches coming up with what they're saying empty, right? And I know that these are not searches that happen willy-nilly. There's reasons that these searches happen. It's not just a snap of a finger.
Down the hall from here is our command post with detectives at FBI, our county attorney's office. The FBI has the same thing. Detectives over there from my agency and FBI agents and the U.S. attorneys. And so every time we come into something where it's questionable about the law, hey, searching someone's home is a really big issue to law enforcement. not because you can gain evidence, but because you could be violating someone's right. Your home is your sanctity. So we look at that breach and take it very serious. So much so that we do check with county attorneys and different prosecutors, U.S. attorneys.
But we also know that they're professionals at executing warrants and drafting warrants and getting. I mean, that's what law enforcement is known, right? I can tell you, I know that I have friends that are law enforcement, and they know how to fill out a DUI form to make it look absolutely the worst. I think that that's what they were doing in Tennessee. Not, it could, right? But Tennessee, they were arresting people that were sober. I don't know how somebody arrests somebody that was sober. Usually you have a scent. I mean, if you're drunk, you usually have a very strong scent of alcohol on you that an officer can visibly smell. If you're so drunk, you're disoriented, right? Even to a .008, you have to, at that level, you should have alcohol on your breath. It's in your blood. It's coming. It's on. Just it should be smelling at your eyeballs. Okay, and these people were going to jail drunk, or sober, as being a DUI. So don't tell me that people can't fill out things properly to get you in there. We've seen the work of Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. Just saying. So, did they word it lawfully and legally? Yes. Did they stretch some stuff? We don't know. We don't see those search warrants. They're under seal.
And we review it with a judge. And based on all of that, we make a decision whether or not we have enough for a search warrant. If the judge approves, we go. Those are court orders.
And get more information like that and the judge approves, we should expect to see more of those?
Absolutely. These leads, for example, those days, right now, detectives are getting information, various leads, 30,000 leads, 40,000 leads, whatever the number is. They're out there paired up and going and chasing down leads. It could be a lead to Walmart. It could be a lead to a gun shop. It could be a lead on anything, DNA, whatever. They chase it down. Once they get to a point where they go, okay, wait a minute, this is really turning into something, maybe develop a person of interest, then they come back in and we do some more backup and backgrounds, and then that unfolds. So to get to a point where you had a search warrant served on 2 occasions, that could happen again today. It could happen tomorrow. It may not happen for another week or 2. It just depends on the lead. We chase leads. That's what investigations are about.
Is there any update today on where things stand with the DNA found in that glove? And I know the FBI talked about getting into CODIS.
We got the DNA back, and my understanding is this morning it was submitted for CODIS. I've not heard anything further.
Yeah. And I know the talk was working with Walmart and maybe some gun shops as well. Has anything come from that yet?
They're just asking. Yeah. They're taking around, and somebody said, oh, they've got 40 pictures. No, what they've done is just like everybody. The Ring camera video, they'll go to a gun shop and say, does this guy look familiar?
Why choose to do these interviews individually with media outlets rather than another press conference like you did early in the...
So if you go back to the first press conference, okay, one, that was a little chaotic for everybody. It was mainly because we had gotten, I think it was Sunday night, Monday morning, we'd completed our investigation at the scene. And so Monday morning they came in and briefed me, the scene investigators came and briefed me. So I knew that I was getting a lot of calls from the media. And the way we deal here with local media is quite simple.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what he's trying to imply.
That's the transparency of this agency and the sheriff. I will never tell the media, no comment. And they come to me, and so I felt like we've always had a great relationship. So we opened the door because now national media is calling, just like this. Hour after hour after hour, though, they kept piling in. We went from, I don't know, media outlets here locally and around the state, maybe we get 10, 20 of them out, to over 400. I quickly realized this ain't gonna work. Every hour on the hour having it. So we decided, let's do a press conference. But that press conference was done with no information really for us to give out. because we had processed the scene, we had submitted our evidence.
This doesn't even
and
make
now we're
sense.
waiting for the labs.
So, again,
Hundreds of questions about the scene, about this, that, and other. And
but he's not answering the question why the one-offs. Because even with all that, you're giving one-off interviews that could be generating a press conference that everybody can listen to instead of just one person asking the question. It seems like this man can't keep his concentration and can't keep, anything. He's not focused. That's his problem. And he just starts speaking off the cuff. He's got to stop speaking off the cuff. But it doesn't matter. I don't think he's going to survive this case. I think he's going to lose his next election. I hope he loses his next election. I don't think Tucson can afford this type of leadership. I'm sorry, Chris Nanos is not a good sheriff in my opinion. He's nice. I feel bad for him. But he keeps making excuses for poor leadership, and he's so unaware of his poor leadership, and he blames us for his poor leadership as if we're not supposed to call poor leadership out when we see it. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't know him. I don't have any reason not to like him on a personal level, but professionally, I don't want to deal with him. He's a crackpot.
I just wasn't prepared to give that up. I wanted to hear from my investigators more. We scheduled a press conference for 2 days later. That happened. They got all their questions. We gave them the timelines that we knew.
He never answered.
We gave them what we knew, and we told them moving forward, there would be no more press conferences just to have press conferences. It doesn't make sense. We have work to do. Now,
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think his time is being well utilized by sitting down an entire day and having one-off interviews versus sitting down for 1 hour and addressing them all at one time? Nothing he says absolutely makes sense. This is why he's terrible at his job. He's so terrible at his job, he doesn't even know he's terrible at his job. Because what he just said here makes absolutely no sense. A press conference is a press conference. You're wanting to have one-offs here because you don't want the intensity of a press conference, yet you're wanting to waste taxpayer money by sitting all day meeting with one reporter after another reporter after another reporter. That seems like a waste of time and taxpayer resources, if you ask me. Because this is the sheriff that's getting paid big bucks. He's being paid big bucks to lead, not keep his ass in a seat and have 40 different interviews in a day, where his entire day is consumed by speaking to media. That is not... Whatever. I guess this dumb YouTuber just doesn't know about time management. Okay, got it.
Folded this last week, where people were, the room was just, you can be campaigning against the sheriff all you want. Good for you, okay? I've been through 2 or 3 elections already. I'm still here.
See, this is the arrogance that you get right here. That's that arrogance I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are in Arizona, if you guys, specifically Pima County, listen, guys, you guys can't have a sheriff like this. Okay, I'm sure he's a great guy. Personally, he's terrible at his job. Okay? He's terrible at his job. We need good sheriffs. Okay? If this was your family, you would be livid if this was your sheriff. I am thankful that I've got Rick Wells. Okay? Now, they don't really deal with petty crap very well because I've got a few open petty cases that they don't like solving because it's petty. But I guarantee big cases, we get the job done here in Manatee County.
This isn't about that. But when you try to drive a wedge between 2 agencies, the FBI and the
It does confuse me.
That I'm going to step in and stop.
Yeah,
Our relationship has been a great relationship, will always be a great relationship. Do you know why? Because it's vital to this agency. It's vital to the FBI that we work together. But you know what it's more vital to? It's more vital to this community that we work together. And we
he's a politician.
those comments that
Okay.
How frustrating has it been to see some of that misinformation out there? And I know, it prompted you to clear the family. We don't see that a lot in these investigations during it.
Yeah.
But, gotcha.
Okay. So, look, in politics, you always have that, right? The ugliness comes out, and it's a shame. But when we talk about victims being re-victimized, what is really the purpose of cops? To protect those who have been victimized.
Oh, so he thinks that his job is to protect victims that have been victimized. I think that's the number one thing that's wrong with him and his policing. Because our law enforcement here likes to police so people aren't victimized. They don't wait until they're victimized to act, you see. We like, prevention. Prevention. Not help after the crime has been committed. They're doing law enforcement a little bit backwards in Pima County. He just said so himself. To protect victims. You wouldn't need to protect victims. Why don't you prevent them from being victims in the first place? Just a little food for thought. Constructive criticism there, Sheriff.
To be their voice. I have been a cop for 50 years. I'm not a good politician. I suck at it.
You suck at policing, too. I'd say you're better at a politician than you are policing. But, I'm just saying. That's just from my perspective. Just from my perspective.
But I am a good cop. And one thing I know is if you...
I didn't do it. I'm a good person, damn it. I'm a good person. If I came here every day to tell you guys I'm a good person, I got to tell you I'm a good person for you to believe me I'm a good person. Do you honestly think I'm a good person? If I have to come here every day and tell you, but guys, I'm a good person. I can't believe they thought I stole. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. If I came here every day and told you guys I'm a good person, I'm probably a rotten person. And when it's pretty bad when you got to tell the news that you're a good sheriff. I mean, I would think that you would have, this beautiful, background that shows how awesome of a sheriff you are, that you don't need to tell them you're a good sheriff. But I mean, I don't know. I could have it wrong, Betty gets it wrong sometimes.
attack a victim, I'm going to step in and say something. I will be their voice. That family is suffering. They are.
Okay, so he'll be their voice after the crime is committed. I guess in Arizona they don't believe in the prevention of crime. They'll be there for you after the crime is committed. That explains why they don't have lights. They don't really care about preventing the crime. They just want to be there for you after the crime is committed. Don't worry, guys. I mean, if you survive and you live, you don't get murdered in our county, we'll be there for you after the fact. But it's much easier and cheaper if instead of us just doing this broad base, prevention, we'll just wait until the crime happens and we'll just go into this little area and do the micro investigation over here. So we don't have to disrupt the whole county. We'll wait until the crime happens and we'll just go here and solve this crime and then go over here to solve this crime. And oh crap, we got so much crime going on, we don't know who to send where, right? That's what we're dealing with in Tucson. But he said the part out loud. And this is what we're seeing. They don't really prevent the crime. They don't attempt to prevent the crime. They don't try to prevent the crime. They're there for you after the crime is committed. That is poor policing, folks. That is not how we like doing policing. We shouldn't, if there's good prevention, we shouldn't need policing at all, right? If there's good laws, we wouldn't need, I'm a good person, damn it! I'm a good person! I don't have my boo. Boo! Boo Betty. Betty Boo. Betty Boo Boo Boop Boop Boopity Boop.
Hurting. And there is no cause, there's no justification for saying some of the things that were said out there in the media and social media. Just none. And I'm not going to tolerate it.
Oh, you hurt my feelings! Oh, I'm not going to tolerate it! I would suggest you, Sheriff, you realize why you got 2 of these and 1 of these. I would use them in proportion because it's time for you to take some constructive criticism, sir. With all due respect, you're not really that great sheriff you think you are, okay? We've seen good sheriffs out there, Sheriff. I'm not mean. I don't think you're a horrible person, but you're misguided. I do believe you are misguided, sir. I do believe that. I do believe that. Okay, we're getting in. This one's smaller. Oh, God, this is another 15 minutes. Let's go to Brian Enton. We need Brian Enton. We had, Mike wants to hear Brian Enton. So let's go to Brian Enton. Brian Enton! What did he say? Sorry, I can't. I thought I was going to be able to play all these, but after listening to them and then having to come back and play them again. Were you talking about the falsely accused? This was good. Is that the one you're talking about, Mike? Yeah, this is good.
Didn't have another person representing her, and she also.
If this is the one you're talking about, it said from last night. This is the one. This is actually pretty good because this kind of goes back to what I was saying when everybody was trying to go after Tommaso's bandmate. We didn't do it. I wasn't going to go down. I told my audience I wasn't going to go down that rabbit hole. Was not even going with Dominic. I told my audience that. There's no way, because they as soon as the person at the door, and I had to remind my audience, guys, you're looking at these photos. These photos are 20 years old. This is not the same. Like, you're seeing Tommaso with a face full of black hair. We just had a photo of the man with nothing. He's freaking salt and pepper. And then his bandmate, was younger too at that time. That photo was from 2007. And they were taking that 2007 photo as their evidence on the makeup of his bandmate. And I had to remind everybody, the man's almost 60 years old now. And when you kind of present it like that, it kind of deflates all on its own. Because when we saw that masked gunman, we knew that person was much younger than a 50 or 60-year-old person. Okay, I'm sorry, you can just tell. And if you can't tell... I want to say it's time for you to go get your eyes checked. And I'm saying that in a loving way. You got to go get your eyes checked. So this person appeared to be moving like a younger person. Okay. And Tommaso and his bandmate are in their mid to late 50s. Okay. To me, it just didn't make sense. It seemed like people were grasping at straws because everybody knew it had to be linked to Tommaso. And that's where it was. And why did people feel that way? Again, it was a combination. Somebody just brought up Ashley Banfield. She did that. She put a target on Tommaso's back, but so did the sheriff. Because he reported inaccurately. And he reported inaccurately for over a week before he changed it. And when he changed it, he never gave the public an explanation that it was their fault. He can never take... The one thing I can tell you about this, Chris Nanos, he never takes personal responsibility for shit. Every time he is, it's not my fault. I'm a good sheriff. Any sheriff that has to pop up and say, I'm a good sheriff, you're probably not very good. Okay? Because your work should speak for itself, and it ain't speaking. And everybody's looking. And I will tell you, this is one of the reasons why I don't like to accuse people without evidence of it. Like with Katie and Chris, everybody's like, well, Katie, I don't want to hear that. I investigated that case thoroughly. I came to my conclusion based on my research. Okay, I don't have to convince anybody but me because I'm the one making these statements. But that was after thorough research of all the cases, including going out there multiple times. Including going to the job site, including running different, routes with my own car, timing it. I worked my ass off. out there to determine what happened. It is my position that something happened inside that house, and Katie Proudfoot most likely did it. That is my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. Okay? At the end of the day, we are all entitled to our opinion, but my opinions are based on facts. They're not based on me making some evidence or information up and then basing my conclusion on a theory. It was on fact. It was on timing. It was on the fact that this child went inside that home with his mother and never walked out. It was the fact that the family. But when it comes to like the Idaho 4, I never got on board with accusing their friends of this, that, and the other. We've discussed stuff. I mean, we had some pretty intense conversations, such as if Dylan had called 911, could she have saved, any of her friends? It was a tough conversation to have, but it was one that was absolutely probative. And we had a right to do it. Was it hurtful? Did it make people, was it hurtful to, I'm sure it was, but it still, it didn't matter. It certainly was probative. We had rights to ask the questions, But in this particular matter here, people were accusing them. They weren't presenting the question or trying to find, the answer to it. They were talking as if this is fact. And I don't like that in part because it's something may be fact, it may be your opinion, but one thing I've learned, and it took a little while to get here, is that I would assume that when I'm talking, people know that these are my thoughts and my opinions. Well, somebody told me that people sometimes don't know that. So you've got to constantly be reminding them when you're talking that this is my opinion based on this fact. And so I have just gotten accustomed to doing that now, that it almost comes fluently, where I'm so adamant about defining the fact from my opinion. And I think if more people did that, less confusion would be had, because a lot of these people are talking about their personal opinion. But when they're talking frankly with their audience, and their audience is picking it up as if this is a fact that they've fully researched, when it's not. It's conjecture, it's opinion. They're opining. They have no evidence to support that. We have a lot of evidence to support Chris and Katie's, potential involvement in the disappearance of their son. We do have things that point in their direction. In this particular matter, we had zero things pointing in Dominic's direction outside of the fact that he was a bandmate from years and years ago with Tommaso. And he went under heavy scrutiny as possibly committing homicide on his bandmate's family member. I mean, it's one thing to have the discussion and talk about it and work through it, but these people were reaching out to this man. These people were going on his social media. These people were sending him messengers and saying horrible, disgusting things to him and accusing him of terrible. Why would anybody think that an opinion rises to the level where you're okay to go and reach out and bully somebody that you've never met because your brain says, oh, he must have done it? We open up these chat rooms for you guys to express yourself, for you guys to get some of the angst out of you. Whenever you guys have a perspective, we want you to come here and share your perspective so we can dive into it in a safe environment. But going out and attacking innocent people is just wrong. And we've told people that we were not getting involved in the Dominic thing. I think I might even have raised my voice because I was just over it. I have a problem with it because you got to remember, I've been stalked. I've had people say horrible things about me that were completely untrue. I've experienced this in real time. I've experienced being stalked. I've experienced having my life put in jeopardy from being on this platform. I understand the seriousness of these things. And so I do not engage in those things. We have talking points. Like somebody's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's accusing Luke Daly of this. We have no proof. And I'm like, well, I think it's pretty ignorant for you to make that statement because I never said that first and foremost. So clearly you didn't watch my video. You're commenting on a video that you didn't watch, and I find that very ignorant. And I said that to her. Very ignorant. because not only did I present this as a question, not an accusation, I also brought up the fact that it sounded to me like Chris Nanos may have cleared him. And I even pointed that out to my audience, that it seems like he may have cleared him. So I don't know, and I even called her a cupcake, because that's what I do when people frustrate me. And I said, so calm down, cupcake. It was a question. And we're going to continue to ask questions because I think it's appropriate. I think questions are so much better to ask than accusations. Wouldn't you agree? I think that we need to do less accusations and more questioning. And once we get to the information, we should be able to make a conclusion. But remember, that conclusion is your opinion. So make sure that you remind people that this is your opinion, so we're not getting confused. I didn't do it when I first started out with YouTube. I used to tell people to F off. When they try to say, well, you didn't tell us it was your opinion. It's like, are you so dumb you don't know it's my opinion? And then I started getting flack for that. And it's like, well, maybe I just need to, what? It's easier just to say, this is my opinion. This is what, you need. But I would hope that the world understands that these are content creators, not law enforcement. Like, there's got to be some point in your brain that you say this person can't possibly have that information. I would just think that you guys would pause just a little bit and say, how would she know that? And then ask your own question, like, do you have anything to support that statement? Like that's like, I would be like, people tell me stuff all the time and I ask them to send me stuff. Calm down, cupcake. She didn't like cupcake. Come here, boo-boo. Come here. Hi, are you yapping at the wind? Are you yapping at the wind, Gorgie? Come here. Come say hi to everybody. Come on. You say, I'm so pretty? Oh, she says no. I want to go bark at the wind. You're not going to come up here and say hi to everybody? Come on. Well, excuse me. She said, talk to the paw, because the face ain't listening. Talk to the paw, because the snout ain't listening. And she walked away. She walked away. She didn't even want to say hi to you. She's got a little bit of a toot, I got to say. That's a first for me. But seriously, and I try to educate you guys because I think it's important. But you've got to, when you're hearing people say some things that shock you, or cause you pause, you've got to just slow down a little bit and just process it, because we all got a little bit of common sense, okay? Some of us are better gifted than others. We understand that in this world. But just stop and pause and say, could this person really know that information? And ask questions like, well, how do you know this? If somebody starts chopping your head off just for asking for receipts or something, that should tell you everything you need to know. If they've got something, look at it. Maybe they were trolled. Maybe it's something that was AI generated and they truly believe it's legitimate, or maybe it truly is legitimate. And they actually have a receipt to support their position. So we've got to start looking at that, but we've got to start asking a little bit more from some of these content creators, because you know what, Brian Enton is correct. There are a lot of people out there that aren't true journalists, and I take journalism seriously. I have a different, I'm not a traditional journalist in the sense. My sister is. She's a reporter for a news station, but I've got kind of a legal background. I've worked for attorneys. I've done a lot in my career I worked for mortgage companies. I sold insurance. I did a lot of different things in my life. I'm kind of a well-rounded person, but I went to college and worked in lawyers' offices. The only thing I went to college for was to become a paralegal. So I have a legal background, investigative background, and legal writing background. That really is my background, okay? So when it comes to this stuff, that is my journalistic side. You know, I look at things a little bit differently than maybe a journalist does. A journalist might be looking at it from an angle of a story. I look at it from, because I'm a political activist, every one of these cases, I try to find a way that we can find common ground and start fixing a broken system. So you get a little bit different perspective on this channel, but I don't even know what we would call ourselves. I don't even know what I truly am professionally, because I don't really consider myself a content creator, and I don't really fully consider myself an activist. But I wear a lot of different hats, and my business really is the First Amendment, anything constitutional. You know, that's where we are, because I believe everybody has a constitutional right to live. And I believe everybody has a constitutional right to thrive in this country. And if you're an American citizen, we should all have the abilities to go as far as we choose to go without somebody putting their foot on our neck. The only thing I don't like in this country is people that hurt other people, people that commit crimes. I used to commit crimes myself. I mean, they were low level, you know, fighting, bar fights, you know, shit like that, back in my 20s. But at the end of the day, we all kind of grow up, we kind of find our footing, we find our path, and we take our experience and try to guide others and try to leave the place a little bit better than when we came here, right? That's at least the focus of here. What we've got here is people like, they don't realize, in my opinion, that these people are real. If this happened to you, you would probably be ready to take a long walk off a short pier. Yet a lot of people that could not handle what they do to others do this to others. And so I just like to caution people just a little bit. And thanks, Mike, for bringing this up, because it's a great talking point that I think everybody needs to know. But we've got to remember that these are people's lives. And we've got to remember that these content creators are not law enforcement, okay? And just because they think, even Ashley Banfield, just because you think somebody might be a suspect does not make them a suspect. What makes them a suspect is evidence connecting them to the crime. And in short of that, we've got to remember that, because we have the ability to destroy people's lives, and not only that, but hurt people, really injure people. What if, for example, maybe Dominic is going through something. Maybe he lost his mother or his child, and we didn't know what he was going through. And now we're accusing him of murdering a little old lady and ripping her from her bed. What if he chose to self-harm himself because of us? Because of true crime? Because of other true crime content creators not honoring a code? And we need to start policing our own. And when we see something dangerous going on from a content creator, we must nip it in the bud as a true crime community. If you know the reporting is a lie, you tell them this is not true. That's what we need to do. We need to start policing our own, because we have an opportunity to do really, really good things on this platform, and we have an opportunity to destroy lives. And I would prefer putting the bad guys behind bars. That's it. That's all I care about, is to make sure that if somebody has been violated by somebody, that person goes and gets put behind bars so they cannot hurt another person again. That's all I care about. I would love to know that one day we can be like South Korea and leave a freaking $10,000 bill on our front lawn and go out there the next day and know that $10,000 bill is still sitting there. You know, we do not have to live in all this violence and crime. Other countries show us that. We need to start believing that, and we need to start working toward that. So anyways, guys, I love you. I'm done with my soapbox, but that's what the whole Brian Enton is. I was going to play it, but there's no need, because I knew exactly what you were talking about. I had my own words for it. I absolutely concur 100% with what Brian Enton is saying. And I think that if we can give law enforcement constructive criticism, we should be able to take constructive criticism ourselves. Just saying. And it's time for the true crime community to tighten up, and that's on all platforms. If you know what you're saying is not, has no receipts for it, make sure you put the disclaimer about your opinion on there, because people are thinking it's true, and that's how these things get passed around. And we're going to start sourcing them. I'm going to tell you, because when I hear stuff, I have my audience send this stuff to me. Where do they find it? And I don't like fighting with content creators, but you get under my skin bad enough, I'm going to take a bus and run you over with it. Okay? If you're doing terrible reporting that's hurting somebody else, you are going to feel that pain. Anything you do to somebody else will be done to you, so you can understand what you're doing to other people. I don't like going there, but in all fairness, we do have the ability to police our own, and by God, we should do that. So if you don't want it done to yourself, then don't do it to somebody else. That's the motto we should all be living by. Anyways, guys, have a great day. God bless you. It's Sunday. Turkey Man will, he did a live today, his church sermon. I will put that up in a post here in just a few, actually, let me do, hold on a second before we break. Let me see if I can go ahead and do that now. Please don't forget, tomorrow at 7, I'm going to make a thumbnail. We'll all be here to pray. This is going to be a, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I think we'll do a fundraiser on this channel. I think we're going to stop all for the 7 o'clock show. We're not going to do any funds for the channel. I think we'll find a, if you guys would like to participate in a fundraiser, maybe we'll do like the American Cancer Society for that show, to help raise some money and awareness. I think that would be so honorable. That's what we can do as a channel. Let me find it here. Give me just a second. Sorry. What kind of tree are you? What kind of tree are you? Why didn't it open it right? There it is. So let me go ahead and create a post. Here's our Turkey Man. Here's, oops, I spelled that wrong. Here's our beloved Turkey Man. All right, I'm posting it now. If you guys would go over there, if you guys would like to go over there and listen to that testimony, that sermon, you're more than welcome to. Don't forget to sub up to Turkey Man. He's one of ours, so we always love to support our channel members and subscribers. So if you guys become content creators, which we've had a few that have decided to roll with their show, Women's Warrior, KJ, and we support them. I wish I had their links. We've posted them in the past. I need to start getting their links and getting them on Nightbot, so we can have our friendlies, for our other channels that we help support and help build. I always love and help support any channel that wants to come out and do the right thing. I'm not one of these things like you're crowding my space or don't run lives when I'm running lives type of thing. I don't get down like that. If we can help build and help bring people up, that's what we do. Okay. We never try to put our foot on the neck of somebody. If they want to come out here, we give them all the best practices that we've learned so they don't make the same mistakes we did, and anything we can do to help and help them build their name, their brand. All we want is decent integrity. Now, there has been times where we've helped people build their channel and then they did a turncoat type of thing. We can't prevent any of that from happening, but that says more about them than it will ever say about us or our channel. So if you ever want to become a content creator, you want to know how to get started, I will tell you what I did and how I did it just to help you out. And then we'll also help you get some subscribers so you can go live quicker. So all we ask is for, good work. That's it. Put your heart into it and do good. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. We will see you soon. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me this evening. And I have to believe that I agree with the question we put out there. Could more have been done to find and save Nancy Guthrie? And in my opinion, yeah, I think there could be. And I think that it's sad that the sheriff is unwilling to understand, one, that, yeah, we do know, and two, sometimes taking responsibility is the best path forward. But constantly trying to act like nothing was wrong, nobody did anything wrong it's a fruitless argument, especially because we have eyeballs and brain cells. And in this day and age, with all the technology, we literally have something we can talk into that tells us that, yeah, something more could have been done. It's called Chat GPT, Perplexity. It's AI, right? So even if we are ignorant about something, we now have tools to go educate ourselves fairly quickly, at least generally, on any type of subject matter topic. And law enforcement needs to understand we are watching them. You know, we want to make sure that they have all the tools that they need to solve the crime, but we also don't like being lied to as a public. And it causes this distrust amongst our law enforcement every time they lie to us. And so hopefully they start understanding that we are smarter than they think they give us credit for. We do have brains, we have eyeballs, and we can think for ourselves. So anyways, thank you guys. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. And have a great evening. Have a great evening. Don't forget Tuesday. We're going to be here ridiculously early, I think. But I'll go through my calendar and try to set up Tuesday and Thursday if we have a meeting. So at least you guys know that we'll be coming on at 6 a.m. Oh, thank you, ER. I appreciate that. Big hugs and kisses to you as well. Guys, thanks for everything, but we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Enjoy your evening with your family. And don't forget to give them hugs and loves, folks. You know, we see all this gunk and it weighs on our souls and our bodies and our minds and our brains. And, you know, sometimes we don't even have families. I know that there's some people here that come here because they don't really have anybody. And there's some people that come here that have amazing families, but no matter who you have somebody that you love or something that you love in your life, whether it be an animal or not. Just make sure you give them an extra hug tonight. It'll make you feel better. It makes the world feel better, and it gives us a little grace in our hearts. So we'll see you guys soon. Tomorrow's going to be, we're going to come here with hope and happiness for our 7 o'clock. I don't want people here with teary eyes. I want people here with celebration in mind and happiness and good positive thoughts and good positive vibes to really help Middle E. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless.